This podcast contains paid advertisements, but more on that later. Welcome to the O'Connor Bootstrap podcast, where I discuss how you can grow your business by the bootstraps. This applies to all entrepreneurs, from the person just starting up to the one that is already well established. My goal is to help you grow. I am your host, Isaiah O'Connor. Okay, so today's sponsor is Awin.com. And they are an affiliate network. Well, what is an affiliate network, you might ask? Well, an affiliate network is kind of like a dating service where a person who wants to sell an item is matched with a person who wants to get paid to advertise said item. That is where I get my sponsors from, where when I say go check out audible.com, if you check out audible.com and click on a link and I get some money, then that was through Awin.com. I was connected. Audible wants people to talk about their product. I want to talk about Audible and get paid. Awin matched us together, so now we're a happy advertising couple. Anyway, go check them out. If you use the affiliate link, it does help out the channel or the podcast. It keeps us going. I'm very grateful for those who do check out my links. But yeah, if you want to sell a product, go check them out. If you want to advertise and get paid to advertise, say you're a podcaster yourself or a content creator of some sort, go check them out. They're great. And if you're a small business needing to grow and needing a fairly low cost way to do so, they're a good place to start getting growth. And that leads into today's subject, which is growth. Now, all businesses need to grow. That is absolutely important. You will need to grow your business to some degree. You need to be able to, of course, go from having one customer every couple of months to enough customers to live and feed your family with. And hopefully be able to employ a few people to take care of their families too. So yeah, you definitely want to grow. But I'm not going to be telling you how to grow your business today. Now, that's not the focus. I'm talking about precision growth. Now, what do I mean by precision growth? Precision growth is where you're growing at the right amount, at the right speed, and aiming for the right size. Now, what do I mean by that? Isn't all growth good? Shouldn't you be growing as quickly as possible? Oh, that's another thing. You need to grow at the right rate. So let's tackle these a little bit here. So what does it mean to grow at the right rate? What's too fast? What's too slow? And again, all these will be absolutely individual to your situation. Some places, some businesses, you want growth as quickly as possible. Now, the trick is when you're growing as quickly as possible, you want to do it as honestly as possible. Cheating in quick growth business models will come back to bite you in the butt. Now, as an example, a content creator wants growth as quickly as possible. I am a podcaster. I write a blog. I have a YouTube channel for my balloon website. And trying to get one up for the podcast as well, but we'll see how that goes. But the trick is when you want a lot of growth when it comes to this. The more people listen to you, the more people watch you, read your content, the more people click on your ads, the more money you make, the better it is. You want quick growth when it comes to content creation. And the sky's the limit. You can grow as fast as you can, as much as you can, and it will do nothing but help you, and you want to do that as quickly as possible. As fast as possible and as much as possible. No limits, no problem. Because when you podcast, when I record this podcast today, if 5 people listen to it tomorrow, cool. If 10,000 people listen to it tomorrow, better. If 10 million people listen to it, oh boy, that's cool. If 1 billion people listen to my podcast, that would be amazing. And I would see a boost in numbers, probably a boost in money from my sponsors. I'd have other people coming in and now offering to pay me money to be on the radio, all this good stuff. That's amazing. And do I do any extra work for that? No. I record one podcast, I put it out there, and it does not affect me, at least my workload, in any way, shape, or form. If it's one person that listens, if it's just my mom listening, or if it's all 6, 7, 8 billion people on the planet listening, it doesn't matter. It does not affect me. It might affect my server a little bit, but in reality, it really doesn't increase my workload. I can grow very quickly without having to worry about any extra cost, any extra workload. It's pretty straightforward. Now, if you are a little inventor and you invent a cool little widget, and this widget becomes popular, and all of a sudden you do a little video of how your little widget works, and it goes viral, and all of a sudden that little video you make of your widget gets 6 million views. Now that 6 million views, you have, say, 500,000 people placing orders for your widget. Now, say your problem is this widget that you make, which is amazing, takes you 2 to 3 days to make one of. You don't have a manufacturing facility. You don't have a clue how to get manufacturing done. You don't know how to build up the supply. You don't have a lot of people wanting your thing, and you just can't keep up with the demand. You're going to be swamped. You're going to be stressed. Your workload's going to go through the roof. And growing from a demand of 1 or 2 every few days to a demand of tens of thousands in one day, if not per minute, then you're in trouble. That's way too rapid growth, and you can be in big time trouble if that happens. And it does happen. This type of thing happens all the time. A company's cruising right along. They're making their product, they're doing their service, they're having a good old time, and they're growing. And then something clicks, and all of a sudden everybody wants them, and they fail because of their success. They can't keep up with the production, or in order to keep up with production, they cut corners, and the quality of the product goes down. This has caused people to take safety shortcuts, people getting hurt. This can really, really damage you extremely quick growth when you're not ready for it. So that can be a problem. Now, you do want to grow. Let's not forget, the whole point of being in business is growing, but you don't want to grow so fast if you have a product or service that you have to keep up with that you can't handle the workload. You want to build up and be able to handle the workload and build up so you can handle a bit more workload, and build up so you can handle a bit more workload. Now, I'll come back to this. This is my point of where I'll come back. Then you have the businesses that grow just for the sake of growing. Sounds kind of strange, isn't it? Shouldn't business growth, be about growing because it's a natural thing, naturally building up your business, getting more and more customers, getting more income, getting more revenue, using that revenue to grow more, add more growth, to gain more revenue? That would seem to be the common idea. However, there have been multiple companies, and a few that I'm pretty sure you've heard of. For example, McDonald's. I'm sure this won't surprise you, but Subway, and to a lesser extent, Burger King and other restaurant chains. There's been a lot of companies out there, major companies, that seem to have growth as a strategy to grow just because they want to grow and gain market share. Now, this may or may not be a good idea. It can backfire. It can backfire big time. Another company that grew massively, quickly, and too much was Radio Shack. Matter of fact, my next episode will be about what caused Radio Shack to go bankrupt. What did they do wrong? And part of that was they were cannibalizing themselves because they grew so much that in some places they had a Radio Shack for every square mile. They had one area where they had 25 miles and 25 Radio Shacks, one per square mile in one area. That was way too much, and it was actually hurting them because they were competing against themselves. McDonald's started having a similar problem. And the other problem of growing for the sake of growth is when you're growing for the sake of growth, oftentimes you're grabbing in millions, if not billions in some cases, dollars of debt to grow. McDonald's did this as a strategy for a long time. Borrow money, open a restaurant. Borrow more money, open another restaurant. Borrow more money, open another restaurant. And on and on and on and on they went. And this did give them market share. Matter of fact, a lot of restaurants did. I can't remember the exact one, but there was another major restaurant chain that was doing this as well, that was competing with McDonald's and Burger King, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but they were doing this too, and they eventually went bankrupt from this activity. McDonald's has struggled because of this. It's had a huge amount of the market share, but it's been very, very costly and has put them in a large amount of debt and has hurt them to some degree. It's helped in some degree, it's hurt in some degree. But growth for the sake of growth as a strategy, in my opinion, is not a sound strategy. Because usually, again, you can't do this unless you're racking up a ton of debt. And as a guy who is opposed to debt, this is not a great plan because it sets you up for failure. And every company that has gone bankrupt went bankrupt because of debt. Always the case. 100% of the time. So I'm opposed to debt. So if you're going to grow as a strategy, just to grow, just to get numbers, just to compete, in my opinion, that may work short term, but long term, I think that's a bad idea. Now, what's a proper amount of growth? Well, let's go into a little bit about my story. When I first started off, I was tiny. I had 1 or 2 gigs. I wasn't very sure about what I was doing. I was overdoing it, which I might go into on another podcast about how much planning and stuff I put into and how much I took for the money, all this stuff. There's a lot of bumps along the way, but the way I was doing things, I could not survive my business unless I grew a lot. I could not make enough money to live off of with what I was doing, so I need to grow. But I need to grow slowly because at the time I was doing birthday parties. I was doing balloon animals for birthday parties. I was starting with trying to organize and help plan the birthday parties. I know I was taking way too little money for this. Organize, plan the birthday parties, do the entertainment, do balloon animals, do juggling, do magic, and teach the kids how to do origami. It was a lot. I was doing a lot. Now, doing all this limited how quickly I could grow. There was not a big market for all of that. The balloons were the market. And I'll go into that, I think, in another podcast, but let's jump ahead a little bit. Initially, if I got 2 events at the same time, or when I had a client call and say, hey, I need 2 balloon clowns, as a single guy, not single, but as a one-man operation, I had to hire out other people to come in to help me do the job. I couldn't keep up. And if for some odd reason I got super popular overnight, like I half expected to because I was excited and dumb, then what would I do if I had 30 people hiring me for birthday parties? And since birthday parties are usually on Fridays and Saturdays, that'd be a lot of birthday parties I'd have to juggle in a month all at once, and there'd be no way I could keep that up. Plus, I didn't have the equipment to handle that anyway. So as I've gone, I have slowly built up my company. Now, there's been times where the growth has been too slow. That's another problem. You want to grow quickly enough to take care of your family, but not too fast. So again, there's a balance. That's why I'm saying precision growth. I was growing rather slowly, and and even if I grew quickly, I probably couldn't keep up with demand by myself. But as I got more experience, as I narrowed down my focus on my business, as I dropped the idea of running the whole birthday party and leaving it with only, now I'm just going to do the balloons. Very simple. That was more in demand anyway. That made it easier for me to grow because now I could handle more parties. And then I got some training, added a new skill set, adding balloon decoration on top of it. And all of a sudden, my growth accelerated very fast. I went from, I think, 20,000 kroner in 1 year. Just to give you an idea for my US listeners, since I am living in Norway, $20,000 kroner is around $2,000 as of today's date. So $2,000 for the entire year. 20,000 kroner in sales. It's in sales, that's not net, that's my gross profit. Would be less than a full-time job's 1 month pay here, so not a lot. But then the next year, my growth jumped to 78,000 kroner, and then 100 and some thousand, and then 200 and some thousand. So, and my business has grown every single year, overall customer base. Even in 2019, when my sales were dropped by 50%, something like that, because I lost my biggest client. That biggest client had previously represented about 80% of my income, and this time they only represented about 40% of my loss. That means in 2019, my business growth was actually around 40 to 50% extra growth in my business, even though I had a loss of overall income. But I've been growing, and as I've grown, I've had some times where I panicked. I talked about that, not liking debt. Well, I took out debt initially and bought one piece of equipment that I needed to run my business in decoration. And it was expensive, I think around $5,000 or something like that. I can't remember, but it was pretty spendy. But I was able to pay that off. It cost me even more because I did get it on debt. But the reason was, all of a sudden, overnight, I went from, I'm going to make one balloon column here, a couple, maybe a balloon arch there, to landing a client where I was doing 20 balloon columns at one shot about once a month. Now, that was just enough growth. That was enough growth that I could pull it off, but just barely. I thought I would need help. I thought I needed to hire someone in to do that. Turns out I didn't. But just to give you an idea, the first time I did it, it took me 8 hours to do the job. With practice and better equipment, I got it down to 2 hours for the entire job. So proper equipment does help. Now, with that additional skill and learning how to do that quickly, I was able to grow even more. And I've been steadily growing ever since. And because I've developed the skill set to do so, I have an amount of growth that I can grow and stay busy without being too overwhelmed. And I also have a plan where if I can grow to a certain point and have enough business, I have a plan to bring on another person and hire them so that I can handle that additional growth. And that's kind of the way to do it. You want to be able to hire people to help you handle the workload as you grow. You want to be able to grow and not go into huge amounts of debt to do so. You want to be able to pay your bills and not be stressed about paying off extra bills every month on debt because you went out and you grew so quickly. Kind of like in my talk about equipment, proper equipment. I don't remember if it was this time or last time, a couple times ago, where a person decides they really, really want to grow quickly, so they go out and they buy the most expensive truck, all the most expensive gear, and they don't grow quick enough to pay off all that debt. Yeah, it's longer. It's harder. As a bootstrapper, hey, I can guarantee you, if you do it the hard way, it takes longer. I mean, it really does. I could probably go out today. I could probably find a bank somewhere, take out a huge loan, take out a $100,000 loan, and go out and pay for a brand new revamped website, buy a delivery vehicle, do a huge advertising campaign, and really, really try to build up my business at a very fast rate. Hire a couple employees, train them, hire a couple of full-time employees, maybe opening up a storefront. And I could grow very, very quickly if I went out and got a lot of debt. I could do it. I could grow very, very fast and get revenues up pretty quickly. But in doing so, I would be spending years and thousands and thousands and thousands of Norwegian crowns in interest to pay that all back. And if I did that before and this whole COVID-19 mess hit, I'd be ruined. I'd be bankrupt right now. I would not have any money. I would have no income. I would not be able to pay the bills. I'd have to lay off my employees. It would be horrible. But because I've been growing slowly, because I've been doing it the hard way, working really, really hard, growing as I can, buying everything with cash for what I need. Except for that one first purchase, I have not bought anything with credit ever since. So yeah, I did do that at the beginning, but since then I have not. Now, I do have one credit out. I do have a loan that I've been paying off, and that was because of taxes. You do need to pay the government, and when you have a tax bill here, they only give you 2 payments to do it, and then they come after you. So I was able to take out a bank loan because that way I was able to break it up over a year because I didn't have a lot of revenue at the time. Anyway, that's just me being honest. I don't like debt. I do have some debt out of sheer necessity, and I did debt in the beginning, but I do regret doing that. I should have waited. It took me a lot longer to pay off, and that machine cost me 1.5 times more expensive because I had to pay a lot on the debt to buy that machine. So the machine was worth like $5,000. I paid probably $7,500 on it. Not worth it. But that's because I panicked about growing too quickly. I panicked and I went into debt to try to handle the workload. Again, you grow too quickly, you can panic and make some dumb decisions. I did. Yeah, I'm not a perfect guy. I'm not going to be up here and be, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm smart and I know all this business stuff and I'm better than you. No, I'm not better than you. I'm just a normal guy. This podcast is for normal bootstrappers who want to work hard and build something up. And yeah, it can be slow. It can be hard, but it's definitely worth it. And you know what? Because I didn't have this huge amount of debt, I didn't go crazy. I didn't try to grow for the sake of growth. I didn't bear myself up to my eyeballs in debt and have all these employees and everything else. When COVID-19 came and put my business into a coma, not killed it, but put it into a coma, I survived. My business is still going. I'm getting orders now. I'm coming back. I'm bouncing back. People are now celebrating. My business is waking up from a coma. It's not dead. But if I had gone into debt, if I had grown so quickly that I had all these huge payments my business would have been done. I would have had to lay off all my employees. I would have had to close my store, declare bankruptcy, and lose everything because I tried to grow too quickly. So what is precision growth? In a nutshell, precision growth is growing at the pace where you can handle the growth, both financially and the workload. That's it. If you grow faster than you can handle, that's too much. Oh, and actually, let's not forget, precision growth is also growing fast enough that you can feed your family and take care of your kids. I mean, you want it fast enough that you can take care of things, but you don't want to overdo it. So there's a sweet spot somewhere in the middle that you want to aim for. Almost forgot right size. What do I mean by that? Well, how big do you want your company to be? How big do you want to grow? Do you want to keep growing on forever, or is there a perfect size? Some businesses have decided they want to grow to a certain point, but no more. And they decide to keep it small because that's the right size for their business. For example, the outdoor outfitters, Patagonia, decided because of their corporate values, decided they did not want to grow quickly. They didn't want to grow and become a millionaire just because of being a millionaire. They just wanted to stay small and grow slowly and keep things maintained so they could keep their environmental impact low because it's part of their core values. Whereas the North Face decided to keep growing and their bigger company, they still have similar environmental values and they're kind of pals with Patagonia, even though they're competition. But they've decided to grow differently. So what is the right size? Is there a top end of your growth for your business? You want to keep it small? You want it big? What's the best for you and your industry? Anyway, you have a great day. Talk later. Bye-bye. Remember to get your free half-hour consultation by using our contact page and the links below. If you found value in this content, please give us a 5-star rating on whichever podcast platform you use. It is very helpful if you share this with your friends. If you'd like to directly support this podcast, I have a few donation links in the description, or you can check out the show sponsors. You have been listening to the O'Connor Bootstrap podcast, which is an Atheoz Business Solutions podcast. Our companion podcast, the Atheoz Business Podcast, which is hosted by Jason St. Clair. Our past episodes and related blogs, you can check out our website at www.atheoz.com, which is www.atheoz.com or atheoz.com. Remember, you can also check us out on the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast Facebook group, where you can interact with me and other people who are bootstrappers and entrepreneurs. The link is in the description. Come check us out. I would love to interact with you. And until next time, I'm your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor. See you later.